Thank you, dear. Yes, I know. I love you too. Very much. This is a picture book for adults, and it will hopefully make you smile. And I really hope on 2 pages it makes you cry. And you'll have to buy the book to figure out which 2 pages. Well, I think Scrabble genuinely wanted to become an author and found me. I genuinely believe that these days because she's been wandering around the office today as if she owns the place. But actually, I found Scrabble in a rescue centre, the All Sorts Rescue Centre in Sussex. I found her on a website originally, so I suppose it's a bit like internet dating, in that you fall in love with a picture of a dog, and then you go and see the dog, and then you take the dog out for a date, and then you end up living with the dog. So whether she chose me is another question, because the day that I went to fetch her, we went for a walk. We sat on a bench, and I asked her if she was going to help me, and she looked at me like she does. And I think she said, "Yeah, all right, I'll put my plans on hold for a bit and see if I can fix you." I don't think any other partners in my life would say that I'd been easy to train, or any of my bosses. So she's done a remarkable job of keeping me responsible and respectable. I kind of prefer the Mike in Mike and Scrabble. I like the cartoon version of me, and I think that's the one that Scrabble's creating. It's like life imitating art, or art imitating life, isn't it? I think that Scrabble has got me under control, got me working for her. She doesn't pay me anything, and she seems to get all the food, so I'm not sure how that works out for me. But definitely I behave myself better around her. Meeting people, for both of us, I think, is the biggest thing. The great thing about dogs is the sociability of them as animals, but also the way that they bring you together with other humans. And, I think one of the things that people like on social media about the Mike and Scrabble pictures and words that we do are kind of, it's about something touching you, and then being able to reach out and say, "Oh, I'm connected to that. I like that, and here's a picture of my dog, and my dog does that," and they share things with me that way. And then in reality, she tells me what to draw, and I draw it every morning, and then I'm allowed out for a walk. But we go to a little crescent. There's a kind of unofficial dog club there at 10 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock at night, and we hang out with other dogs and their owners. And Scrabble spends as much time introducing me to other people and other dogs as she can. She's the most playful character there. It genuinely started as therapy for me. My character is an extrovert. I only discovered last year that what that really means. It doesn't mean I dress flamboyantly. I've only got one shirt, as you can tell, and but an extrovert means that I have to publicly talk about my emotions in order to understand them. And I was going through a bit of a tough time. We'd had some cancer in my life and some other illnesses in the family last year, and it was the middle of January, and I'd got myself a dog, and I genuinely sat there in the flat with her, looking at her, and kind of went, "What the hell have we both done?" I think she was having exactly the same opinion. And then some of the things that she did, she peed on the floor like dogs do when they don't know what the rules are in a new place. And I just sat there exasperated with her and trying to figure out, why would a dog do that in the first place? And it was to figure out whether I'd got a mop or a Hoover. It was like testing my domestic skills. So I thought well, that's funny. Made a cartoon, stuck it on my Facebook, got more likes than I would get for a picture of me on my Facebook, and thought, well, this is interesting. And then just pursued it set up a separate account for her and everything else. So they became a diary, really, of me coming to understand Scrabble, her coming to understand me, and my relationship with dogs in general. And then, some of them are genuine things that happen to us, and I try to find the funny side in that. And then I've got to this habit now where it's almost every day I'm trying to create something in the morning based on what we did yesterday. And so there was never an intent. It was never intended to be a story, and until you guys approached me and said, or approached Scrabble, in fact, because realizing where the power is in this relationship, you wrote to Scrabble, that the concept of it being a book or a story was there. And funnily enough, it does kind of pan out as a story, as a series of one-page, one-sentence jokes, but actually it tells the story of our life over the last 6 months. The interesting thing for me was why anybody would in the first place. Initially, I thought maybe, why does anybody want to follow this cartoon Mike? And then I realised I was completely unimportant to this. It's all about this lady. And she knew that, I think. But the people that it reaches, as a rule, people that love dogs, people that love pets, people that like a laugh. I get a lot of lovely comments from people saying that it makes them smile every morning or something like that. And then you think, well, that's mission achieved then for a day. But the fans have kind of driven the whole thing for me, because the fact that they appreciate them and like them and share them is always good. It makes me feel good. Both of us really appreciate the fact that they're out there. It's a joy when people send you pictures of their dogs, when they give you comments that tell you what their dog's just been up to. And then there's the sad moments where people have lost a dog. and I draw a cartoon for them, and then that was Sue. Actually, she lost her dog recently, and I think you start to build a community of people that really love your stuff. If you sat there drawing pictures all day long and spitting them out onto social media for no reason, it wouldn't be the same as what we seem to have got, which is we're hitting these emotional points with people because I think they're quite honest cartoons. I'm fairly hard on my sleeve, as you can tell, and I think the cartoons are quite emotional sometimes, and therefore that touches base with a lot of people. She just had this air for me about a dog that's cleverer than she gives away necessarily. She's part Dachshund, part Jack Russell, and I think she's got the brains of both. The stupidity of one of them, I'm sure sometimes she's a bit dopey, sometimes unlovable, but she seems to have some sort of ulterior plan. She introduces me to people that are useful. She makes friends with dogs whose owners turn out to be people that I end up working with and things. So it's like, I'm pretty certain she's got some devious plan that I don't know about. And I like to think that that's the case, because at the moment, with the book and everything, we're, I think maybe I'll be working for her soon. Everybody thinks it's really complicated to get a book deal. And I think if you go out chasing a book deal, then that's probably true. I think it's really hard work if you're an author that is trying to get something published, and I have a lot of sympathy for anybody trying to do that, or if they're self-publishing. We really were not looking for any, well, I wasn't, she might well have been, but maybe that's the master plan and why I think it's all easy. But genuinely, I was sharing pictures every day and enjoying that process. And then Kevin in your offices discovered those by Twitter or Facebook, and I think I'd made one saying we're available for sponsorship because we're both a bit tarty about ourselves. And Kevin noticed that one and mentioned it to you as the publisher of Hubble and Hattie, and you wrote to Scrabble, which was amazing in a fairly tough week for me, actually, for a lot of reasons. I suddenly got this email to Scrabble, and I thought, well, I'm just going to go with this, and I replied sorry, I probably shouldn't say that. Scrabble replied, and then we had a backwards and forwards for a week of correspondence between Scrabble and this publisher. And I'm like, I really like doing this because Scrabble's a much better negotiator than me. And she's pinning down contract terms and all sorts of things, going, ignore Mike, he's an idiot. I just get him to draw. I could get another illustrator, it's fine. And we ended up within a week, I think, of having an agreement, having a book deal in place. Spent most of my life trying to do it that easily. And then here we are, a couple of months later, book's done, ready to be sold. So knowing what I now know about the publishing industry, I don't think that is at all a standard story, basically. I'm very grateful that it happened at all. But again, it's probably the master plan of the dog.
Is that really your new shirt?
Yes. I own 6 copies of this shirt now because Scrabble chose it for me in a charity shop. And then she made me draw it. and it took me so bloody long to draw it that I now have to wear it all the time, and that's why I don't even bother eyeing it. Look at it, I'm a mess. My mother would not be proud. It's quite a personal question, Jude.
Sorry.